Yes, sir.
Anybody not ready?
No,
Okay.
we're ready. Go ahead.
Okay, the meeting will come to order. It's a little after 2 o'clock now. We have a quorum. I think we have 7 board members here. Are there any guest speakers? No guest speakers? Okay. Let's have a brief moment of meditation. Okay, there's no one here for public comment, I assume. Correct? The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I hear a motion to approve it. Don?
Don made a motion.
Tom moved. Tom seconded.
Mr. Tebby seconded.
Okay, all in favor of the approving the agenda, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Okay, no opposed. The agenda is approved. The next item is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, the March 16th meeting. Is there any discussion of those minutes?
Move that we approve
Do we have a
the
motion?
agenda for March 16th.
Okay, Dottie moved. Don Howard seconded.
It looks like Neil's screen may
Neil's
be
frozen.
frozen.
Yes, frozen.
Let's give him a minute, see if he comes back in. Kathy, he does know to just click back in, right?
I think he does. You want me to call him? I can call him.
Give him just a second.
There he is.
All right,
You're back.
I lost my internet completely there for a minute. Now it's back. Okay, approval of minutes, all in favor? If y'all do that, all in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. We have the unfinished business. I'm not aware of any. Okay. Number 6, new business. Proposed capital project. I think, John, this is you're up for that.
Thanks, sir. In case you haven't noticed, for the past few months, we've been under this thing called a pandemic. It's kind of put a screeching halt to our capital projects. I would like to get them moving again. It became quite apparent that our roof for the downtown building during the 11 weeks we were shut down is in dire need of repair. We had 2 major leaks and a couple of pipe, don't know if they actually broke, but leaks. And therefore we have a dire need to get our a roof on that building, and also just go ahead and start the, I'm going to call it not remediation, but just renovations. We do have a few things that need to be remediated, but not a whole lot. The reason for moving these forward would be that they were both at the back end of our phases. The roof was at the back side of phase 1, and the rest of it was at the back side of phase 2. But since we are in the pandemic and we are having extreme roof problems with our downtown branch, I'd like to just go ahead and rearrange that and get started with Main. And that's just did. I just want to rearrange and get started before we ruin something with another roof leak. So far, we have been really extremely lucky. We have not lost any valuable collections.
Tom,
Yes, I would just like to move that we move forward with the combining of the proposed funds for the downtown branch.
okay, Tom's moved that we go ahead and approve this, and is there a second? Brittany was first, on second.
A second.
All in favor? Pardon?
I think that was Dolores that seconded.
Yes. Yes.
All
We had two other seconds, I think, before that.
right.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
Julia and
was there.
Brittany. Julia and Brittany.
Pick one.
Okay. All right, all in favor of approving this, raise your right hand. Okay, any opposed? All right, the motion, or rather, yeah, the motion carries. I think I'm going to just ask for any opposition for the next ones of these that we vote on. That'll make it, I can see if there's anybody opposed, it'll speed things up just a tad. So the next item is the closure of libraries used as polling locations. John, that's you again.
At the beginning of this year, the clerk of court asked us to close for the November 3rd election, asked us to close all branches that are polling places. We had no problem with that, and at our last meeting, I do believe the board approved that. Since then, with the pandemic and 2 more elections coming up, we thought it might be prudent if we went ahead and closed all of our branches again for those election days, only because our meeting rooms where the election equipment is normally stored are currently used for quarantine. So to be able to use those meeting rooms again for polling places would require us to move all the quarantine materials out and back in. And to do that, it would be better if the branch was closed. That way there's less risk of anybody accidentally getting exposed to COVID. We are in short supply of room to store all the quarantine materials. That's why we're using the meeting rooms. So if we're going to do the voting, which we're already obligated to do, it would be best for all of us, we believe, if we just went ahead and closed the branches just this time. We've already did it for the July 11th meeting. We've got another one coming up in August and another one in November. But this is totally something we don't want to do normally, but we are making the exception for this year because of the pandemic and the huge turnout that the clerk expects for the November 3rd election. So at this time, this is just a close for the August and November polling or elections. And we hope next year that we do not have to repeat this. We like our branches being open while we have voting going on, because that it just makes it easier for everyone. And plus we have all that foot traffic right there at the door. Who wouldn't want to invite all that foot traffic into the building? But there you go. We just to be safe this year, it would not hurt if we went ahead and closed for the next two, well, the August election in addition to the November election.
Okay, I think we're talking about 3 or 4 branches.
It's, Deontay could probably give you the list right off the top of her head. I know it's Belcher.
I have it Atkins, Belcher, Cedar Grove, Hamilton, North Caddo, Rodessa, and West Shreve.
Okay. Any discussion of that? Okay, motion to approve it. Anyone? I'm sorry, Dolores, couldn't see you there for a minute. Dolores moved to approve it?
Are we ready for the motion?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'd like to move that we accept that suggestion that those branches are closed for August and for the November elections.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, Josephine seconds. If you are not in favor of this, raise your hand. Okay, no one raised their hand, motion carries. Okay, next is the proposed governmental ethics policy.
I thought Dottie raised her hand.
No, I did. I'm sorry. I didn't hear. I made the second motion. No, I'm sorry. I wasn't
Okay.
intending to raise my hand.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me, sweetie? Yeah, that was me. Okay.
All right, next one up. We are, just a second here, the state auditor has asked again that governmental entities adopt another state agreed upon policy. We are going to, well, let's just be honest about it. We copy and pasted their proposed policy that we would use. We tweaked it just a bit because we already have an ethics training liaison in Gina Box, who is our trainer for the system. And as you can see, in addition to taking the ethics test and having to provide a printout of your certificate of participating, now we also have to have you sign an attestation form that says you actually took the ethics training and that you observed the policy by, well, you observed the policy by taking the ethics training. So again, it's just another state agreed upon policy. We've been adopting quite a few of those here recently. As you remember last year, I think we adopted like 5 of them. This is another one we've been asked to do. I suspect we will get more and more of them as the state moves forward with trying to get a handle on all the financial policies. Yeah. It's just another thing we've been asked to do. It's not like we weren't already doing it, but now we have it as an official policy that the state asked us to do. So there's that one.
Okay, any discussion? Julia, you were first.
Okay, do we need to sign this form and send it in, or is this just for next year?
Just for next year.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Okay, Brittany, you were next.
Yeah, I just had one question. When it talks about concerns that are raised by the public and the investigative procedures that go along with that, would it be possible to get a copy of what that entails?
Well, at this time, if we get any complaints of that nature, what we usually ask is Gina to just call the ethics board and investigate and ask questions. On different occasions, we have asked the ethics boards for their opinion. Some things have been we've been told that it's not a concern of the ethics board. However, to ask the Attorney General, which in those cases we've gotten the Attorney General's opinion. But there really is no other procedure than if it's brought to our attention, we investigate it until we're thoroughly positive there are no ethics violations.
Okay. Anyone
Thank you.
else? Anyone else? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve this? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Julia, you were first, making a motion.
Yes, I move that we approve this.
Okay, is there a second? Tom Davis seconds. Anyone who's not in favor of approving this, raise your hand. Okay, no hands are raised, so motion carries. Okay, next is the vacation accrual policy. John?
It became apparent while we were closed for 11 weeks and everybody was on paid administrative leave that some of our folks who would normally be taking their vacation to keep it under the 352 limit were not allowed to, and therefore they were accruing their vacation, which is a paid benefit that we give to them. But we would have penalized them for not allowing or to extend it beyond the 352 because they were not given the opportunity to actually use it. So this is a one-off for this year to extend the vacation accrual amount cap so that those folks will have an opportunity to use their earned benefit as opposed to losing it. Again, this is just a one-time deal for this year. Someone had asked me earlier if we could just increase the cap. The reason we don't want to do that because it increases our financial liability on the back end as far as the auditors are concerned, and as far as actually what we would have to carry on the books for payout and such. So again, just a one-off this year to allow people a chance to catch up and use their vacation instead of lose it.
Okay, is there any discussion? Julia?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I was gonna make
Okay,
Okay.
I'm just,
a motion.
Is it
Okay,
all?
go
Dottie?
oh, I only said that I agree because they did not ask for this to happen, this pandemic and everything, and I think we need to do extend that vacation time. I really do.
Okay,
That's all I want to say.
okay, thank you. All right, anybody else? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Julia, you gonna do it?
Tom, Debbie, you approve? Motion, Julia, you second?
Second.
Okay. Tom Tabby moves, Julia seconds. Anyone not in favor, raise your hand. Okay. I don't know if y'all can see this. I have an inchworm crawling across my sleeve of my shirt. That's supposed to mean I'm gonna get some new clothes. Old country saying. Okay, next is a proposed revision of registration policy. John, I think you're up again.
Right. As you can see, if you go to bullet number 8 there, we really wanted to allow folks to have the opportunity to renew their cards over the phone as opposed to having to come in. So it's just a couple of words we change. Renewal of privileges may be done in person or via telephone by the card holder or legally responsible proxy at this time. So again, it's something we implemented during the pandemic to make it, we were running into lots of people wanting to use our online resources, and they were having problems, and we didn't want them. And with all the branches closed, it was hard to get them to come in to renew a library card. So we went ahead, we also instituted a temporary renewal, but we went ahead and added this so that we can make it convenient for folks. That's really just all we're doing at this time with the registration policy.
Okay, any discussion? Brittany?
Would it also be possible to allow renewals online in addition to telephone?
Jenny, correct me if I'm not wrong. I do believe we have part of that already done. Yeah, a lot of folks don't like the online renewal at this time. I don't know why. I do it all the time, but some folks feel more comfortable doing it over telephone, so we added that option. One of these days, we'll have a discussion on redoing the whole registration process. But right now, I think this makes it a little bit easier for folks to have access to the resources.
Don? No,
Okay, to clarify, are you saying, John, is currently we're capable of renewing online right now? We're not.
I don't know. Jenny, we were doing that, we were allowing renewing online during the pandemic. Has that stopped? No? Well, you're muted, Jenny. We can't hear you.
I can go check with Caleb down the hall. I know that we were doing something like that during the pandemic, but now that we're reopened, it could be we stopped it.
Okay. If not, Don, we can continue it. I've got no problem making access easier. All right, there's Deonce. Fire away.
We did do something during the pandemic. Caleb did something so that the cards wouldn't expire during that time, but they cannot be renewed online at this time.
Is that a technical issue or is that some type of policy.
Don, you are breaking up.
I can't understand what he's saying.
Safe or what's the possibility of
You're breaking up.
permanently allowing?
Use your chat. Use your chat button to
I
type
can't
it.
understand what you're saying.
What is the possibility of being able to renew online as a permanent option?
Sure, we will look at that. There are some details we'd have to iron out, but yeah, Don, we can do that for you. We can look at making it permanent. Did you note that down, Deoncy? Very good.
Okay, any other discussion?
Pardon my spelling.
Oh,
Who's speaking? Okay. No more discussion. Do I hear a motion to approve this? Can you hear me?
Mr. Howard made a motion.
Bo, can you hear me? Who made a motion?
Don.
Don, okay. Is there a second? Brittany seconds. If anyone's not opposed, raise your hand. No opposition, motion carries. Okay, last new business is a proposed budget adjustment.
It's not as much a budget adjustment as house cleaning with insurance claims. We had 3 roofs that had substantial hail damage. We will, and Susan's going to nod her head and said yes. We are getting insurance reimbursements for the majority of these. But the problem with that is we put the checks into the account and they go straight into the fund balance, and therefore for us to actually use the insurance money to fix the roofs, we need to move it out of the fund balance and into the maintenance. And therefore that's what you're seeing here is checks from our insurance company deposited into the fund balance, and then those monies moved into the proper account so we can continue with the repairs on Hollywood Union, Wallet, David Rains. And each one of them had substantial hail damage in the last hailstorm, or the last 2 hailstorms, something of that nature. And as you can tell, there's a theme here: roofs, damage, rain. Yes. 21 buildings, it's easy to happen. Mm-hmm. And thanks to Mr. Tebby for catching our typo. Appreciate you, sir.
Okay, any discussion on this line item adjustment? Okay, do we hear a motion to approve it? Anyone? Brittany moves to approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, who seconded it? I couldn't see you.
Dottie second.
Dottie.
Okay, if there is no, is there, blah, okay, speak. If there's any opposition, raise your hand. No opposition, motion carries. All right, next is the director's report.
I do believe you have a copy of mine. Just some quick highlights. As some of you may know, we have been working to address the lack of internet services or access in some of our more impoverished neighborhoods. When the Mayor Perkins started his administration, one of the first things he asked the library was to look into assisting children with their homework needs, especially internet access. We had done quite a bit of research, and we had thought with what is called white space Wi-Fi, we had maybe found an answer. For those of you not familiar with white space Wi-Fi, the TV signals that are used to broadcast have various bands to them, and a lot of the bands are not used. And areas, especially rural areas, are using those non-used white spaces to transmit Wi-Fi. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but not a whole lot. We were ready to move forward with that when our consultant decided at the last second to tell us, oh, sorry, you don't have enough white space in the your band up there, even though we had been assured by 3 different consultants that we did. So we started again, and we started looking at wide area Wi-Fi, and we are in discussions with Unity Fiber at this time to see how much such a project would cost. And as call it luck, serendipity, whatever you might want to call it, just about this time the pandemic hits and really stresses the need for this internet access for children trying to go to school at home. At this time, we have the Digital Infrastructure Committee of the Shreveport Economic Recovery Task Force has reached out to us to also do some assessments and surveying for them to drive home the point that the digital divide here in Caddo Parish is as bad as it was 30 years ago and still needs addressing. And therefore, we are looking for different ways and partnerships to do that. That hasn't slowed down. What has changed is the North Louisiana Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program is starting to gear up, especially with the current economic downturn and possible recession/depression. As you may or may not know the history of libraries, when we see recessions and depressions, that's when libraries tend to get used more, a greater resource to the neighborhood. So they are reaching out to us to see if we could help as our economy changes. Being an entrepreneur may not be a bad thing in the upcoming economy. A few other things going on. If you haven't had a chance to go by Wallet, I do recommend that you do and see what a difference LED lighting makes for the interior of a building. We are using 50% less wattage to light that building now and getting an average of 20-foot candles more at 12 inches off the ground. So you never realized you had an idea how beautiful Wallet was inside, but now you can go and actually see it because there are lights everywhere, and it is really wonderful. And we hope to continue doing this. I think Hollywood Union is the next on our list, and we move forward from there with our grant money as far as we can spend it. But Hollywood Union, Wallet, and I do believe it's West Shreve, isn't it, Susan? The other one that has the worst lighting situations. And downtown we need to look at also. So those are the next ones we're looking at. And that's, sir, other than this has been the craziest 6 months I've ever lived through in my life. And I have to say, nowhere in library school did they cover pandemic management. So I really want to say thank you to Susan and Deoncy and Jenny and Sam and everybody else here that has persevered through this. It has been quite a challenge. Some of you may or may not know the CDC changes guidelines on us almost every week. There are updates every time we turn around, and trying to keep our staff safe while providing services to the parish has been an interesting juggling act. And I'll conclude with that note.
Okay, any questions or comments?
Tom has his hand up.
Can you hear me? Tom, go ahead.
Tom, you need to take your mic off or unmute.
Trying to. Okay, it's off. John, in line with what you were saying, I just want Samantha and the others involved with the library to know that for the past few months, I've been working with the Vice President of Governmental Affairs with CenturyLink. And the main reason is in the villages in particular, a lot of the young people are having difficulty doing homework, getting online and so forth. So I am happy to say it's not necessarily, I don't have a list of all the villages, but Ida's been included, Rodessa's included, Viv is included, and I got them to boost up the internet service from 10 megs to 40 megs in all of the rural community areas, which means they can stream live now 3 devices at one time. So that should alleviate a lot of the problems the kids are having. And I'm mentioning it here so that as a library system, we can kind of get that word out. And the phone company has always also agreed that even though they're going to triple your speed, they're going to lower the price by $1 for everybody that calls in. So I just wanted to report that because it has to do with the children, and we serve a lot of the children through the library system. That's all. Thank you,
sir.
Neil.
Okay, Brittany, hands up.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, first, congratulations on the United Way board appointment. I think
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. I saw where you talked to the Chamber of Commerce about potentially holding space for downtown, especially in light of the renovations and COVID closure. Was there any outcome of that meeting?
We were just, I'm glad you brought that up. I really need to ask, is there any hard feelings, opposition to perhaps teaming with the Chamber of Commerce? For those of you not aware of the history, the old chamber, or the current Chamber of Commerce building, used to be the old downtown branch many years ago. Jim, in fact, that goes back to Jim. Jim's first job as director was moving from that building into the current building downtown. I don't see any opposition to that, unless someone here would think. I will be honest with you, Liz Swain and I are looking for something just a tad bit cheaper, but you know, if I can't find it, the chamber would be a good place to go. It is, it has a good location. We don't have to go far to move parts of our collection, and it is rather roomy. And Deontay and various staff members have been in there, and they are sure that we can pull it off. But I was hoping for something a little bit less expensive. We are negotiating, and I'd rather not put those prices on the live stream if you're listening, Tim, because I know Mr. Manger might be listening. But anyway, we're trying to negotiate with him to get a little bit less expensive deal on that space, but we are moving forward with that. If there is no opposition to it, we hope to sign not a memorandum of understanding, an agreement by the end of the month.
Okay, any additional discussion? Brittany?
Thank you. I had one other question. I know that you participated in the Niche Academy webinar on dismantling racism. I did as well. I'm not sure what other board members were able to attend, but I was wondering if you could share just your thoughts on that.
The thing that I liked about it the most is that we can purchase for a very reasonable price the classes that will allow all staff members to attend the anti-racism and equity and inclusion classes that are offered by that organization. I'm trying to remember, I think I got a piece of paper here with it. Wider Stand, the Wider Stand Consulting Group. And so for a very reasonable price, I've already talked with Gina, who is our trainer, and Jenny about that, and I think we can move forward. We do have money in the budget for training now that no one is able to fly to TLA and ALA and various other conferences. So that would be, I think, I don't know where it is in the pipeline, but I do know it's in the pipeline. The other thing is we have been reaching out and doing various programs on racism and just social justice in general. I think one of the better ones we did in the last couple of years was our TED Salon on police brutality. That got that packed a house in Cedar Grove. And we've had a few others, and I really have reached out to some of my friends I met in the dialogue on race class I attended last year or the beginning of this year, and seeing what we can do to, Mr. Ratcliffe, who I think you know, doesn't think having a dialogue on race, that format would work for the library, even though I did discuss how we could do that. But there are other ways to do that. And the nice thing about the Wider Stand Consulting, that is an easy to use format most of the staff can do and get credit for their yearly training. So yes, Wider Stand is a gift, and we're going to take advantage of it.
Okay, Kathy, your hand was up. Kathy Tuminello.
Ms. Tuminello, you're muted.
Let me just wait until we get down to miscellaneous, because I do have something to talk to the board about.
Okay, Josephine, you're waving your hand. Josephine Wade. Need to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my statement is in reference to somewhat what Brittany was speaking to, but there's an article in PLA this month, and the president is saying that they're proud that many libraries throughout the country has issued a statement in support of Black Lives Matter. So my question is, will Shreve Memorial Library be making a statement in reference to Black Lives Matter?
We are the signatory, a part of the Urban Library Council's Equity and Inclusion statement that was put out about 2 years ago. In fact, I was one of the library directors asked to work on that statement for the Urban Library Council. It was a very long weekend in Washington, D.C. We did at the beginning of this put up the ALA Black Lives Matter banners, and I don't know, Sam can tell me what weeks those were, but we did do that, and at this time we have not come out. I would think if we were going to make a statement of that nature, it might want to come from the board and the director as opposed to just the director. If we all feel as if we would like to do something of that nature, I can, Sam and I can get something together for you tomorrow, next day, and forward it out, and we can do that. There was some discussion of whether or not at the time it would have been just bandwagoning at this time. We already state that we're here to make the world a better place. As has been pointed out, there is a difference between being non-racist and anti-racist. So we can make a stronger statement to say that we stand against racism. If the board feels that they would like to see us make a draft of such a statement, we will proceed.
I believe we need to make that statement, and I would like to make a motion at this time.
Okay.
I would gladly second that.
Strong statement in reference to Black Lives Matter.
Okay, Josephine is moved and Brittany is seconded that we do such a statement from the board. Anyone opposed to that? No opposition, so John, carry on with it.
Will do.
Okay.
And
Debbie, your hand is up.
Did somebody second?
Tom
did, and Brittany did too.
Brittany, Josephine moved.
I think Tom's trying to ask a question.
Well, Tom's trying to talk. Unmute.
I'm trying to talk. The board will have time to review this statement before they vote on public release of this statement. Is that my understanding?
Yes, sir.
And who's going to prepare the statement?
Sam and I.
Okay, that's fine.
Any other comments?
And Don, Don did ask a chat question, and yes, sir, you are correct. You can participate at that at your own pace in that Wider Stand classwork. It's mostly video based.
Okay, anything else? All right, next item is the public update, and that is Deonce.
Okay, you all have my report. If you have any questions, just let me know. But I would like to add that the pandemic has hampered our outreach efforts a little bit, but Mobile Library has started servicing some of the nursing home facilities and some of the homebound patrons. And also I wanted to share that although, you know, everybody was shut in, we did have 549 new library card registrations between March and June. That's it. Any questions?
You want Brittany?
Brittany?
Brittany.
Sorry, y'all. I was wondering, since the downtown branch remains closed, right? Is that accurate?
Correct.
Is there a way that we can supplement services with having the mobile library maybe downtown, or somehow providing a service to that community while it remains closed?
I had talked with, I can't remember Donna's last name. She works, she's one of the managers at Hope House. Right when we were having discussions about what we could do early on in the pandemic, it was one of the reasons the police were making an effort to perhaps have us shut off the Wi-Fi at the downtown library early on, and we, I won't say we fought against it, but we suggested that it might be illegal to do such, and they left us alone with that one. I did offer hot spots to Donna, and she had reservations about accepting them because of the church, and so it never did come of anything, unfortunately. Let us, I mean, if you've got suggestions as to where you'd like to see the mobile library and which neighborhoods downtown in those areas, we could definitely try and roll them out. The problem we have at this time is that our Bluebird, let me give you a long, sad story. Our Bluebird was damaged several months ago. I can't remember exactly when, but to get it repaired required us to basically have a salvage title created. And therefore, it's basically salvaged. It's not worth the money on the insurance we're paying. And then as we started bringing staff back to work, the Bluebird weighs just enough that we have to have a commercial driver's license to actually drive the Bluebird. But if it were 400 pounds lighter, we wouldn't have to have a commercial driver's license to drive around the Bluebird. So at this time, when our CDL driver decided he wasn't coming back to work in a pandemic, we went ahead and salvaged the Bluebird, and we are looking forward to buying a new one. Our friend Donna in the programming department has shown me the wonderful mobile wireless computer lab teaching / everything in the world mobile she wants. She has found examples in both Houston and I think Toronto, and we will be doing cookie sales and bake sales later next year to sit here and raise money for such. But the ones we do have, we still have our Sprinter mobile library and the makerspace that are getting out there. Unfortunately, the Bluebird has gone away, but let us know what neighborhoods you might think of, Brittany, that could use some service down there. If we're specifically talking to the homeless population, we can reach back out to Donna and she can help us there.
Yes, we just need to be able to, practice social distancing and all of that good stuff. That's why we're not really providing the services we normally provide. But just let us know.
Excuse me, I'm having a hard time on this Zoom, keep off and on.
We can hear you.
I know, but I can't see nobody, and I lost all about the earlier. I just really got back to the meeting. I don't know if I want to try to get to the host. I don't know what's happening. It goes off, come on, goes off, and I've checked my phone. I don't know what's happening. But if y'all don't hear from me, you mean I've been disconnected out of it.
We can't hear you now.
Like you right now, John, you just there. Okay, not moving or anything, so maybe it's mine. Okay, it could be me. I don't know. Because I didn't hear anything for a long time.
Okay. Brittany, your hand was up.
But go on with your meeting though.
Yeah, my only other question, and I did talk with Kathy a little bit about this privately, as far as the cleaning service that's being done after we have branch closures for potential COVID reasons, is Nickelberry's in compliance with any CDC standards that they have as far as cleaning? And are we sure that that's being done adequately?
We do check. Susan has access to all of the cameras in our buildings, so we do spot check just for accuracy. The CDC asks for two different things. They first suggest that you take soap and water to everything. I don't know about you, but soap and water in a library scares me. So we asked them to use their disinfectant. It's better than Lysol from my understanding. It gets 99.9% of all the germs. Dottie, you're back. I can see you. But most of what is going to work in the cleaning of our branches, they come through, hit all the surfaces, spray all that. There is a wonderful machine. I have contemplated spending $100,000+ to purchase, which would come through and fog all of the buildings, and we could do that on a weekly basis. My problem at this time is, as Susan handed me just a little while ago, we have spent $60,000 to date on gloves, PPE, basically hand sanitizers. Does that include the shield, Susan? Yes, that includes all the glass and shields. So as we're going forth and learning all of this, what we've asked the Nickelberries to do is to make sure every surface is hit with Lysol and let it dry on it. And that's about what the CDC wants, but they want you to soap and water and then come back with the Lysol. We're really, I've kind of had to say no to the soap and water. If it was me or some of our other staff using soap and water, it might not be so bad. But folks that don't have as much reverence for some books may just slop that soap and water around. So we are spraying with the Lysol. We have asked staff to do that periodically through the day also. I think, and the same thing you're going to hear from Dr. Fauci and the rest of them, if we'll mask up and clean our hands and social distance, that's about the best we're going to do. We were a little, I don't know, exuberant to start with, and we're closing at mere sight of someone saying COVID, so we backed off of that a little bit. The CDC keeps changing the rules. It's gone from 14 days isolation down to 10 days just last week, and various other things keep changing on us. So we try and keep a heads up. Trust me, Jenny and Susan do a great job of reading what the CDC says and everything else and keeping us in line. But I mean, I do trust Susan that when she tells me that she's looking in on the cameras and tells me the folks are cleaning. At that point, that's about the only way I can assure you is that we do double check.
Okay, let's move along to the support services update. Jenny, you're up.
Okay. You have my report. If you've got questions, let me know about that. And John did want me to describe a little bit of what we've been doing with this when the CDC and the governor changes the guidelines. We've done a lot of talking with the attorney. We've participated, John and I, in some pretty long webinars that Keen Miller put on discussing FFCRA and how to appropriately apply leave. So we've spent a lot of time in the past 4 months revising the protocols. And as he mentioned, the CDC did come out with some major changes last week. The quarantine for someone, if you've been exposed to like a positive person, is still 14 days, but they're now saying that if someone actually has COVID, that they're not contagious beyond 10 days of the symptoms. And so we've worked on trying to update some of that, and we'll look to be rolling those protocols out this week.
Okay. Questions, comments? Okay, financial services and risk management. Susan.
Y'all got my report. We're still in the middle of our financial audit because they need some numbers that the city has been unable to provide. So we're still not done with our annual financial audit. And then as John said, I was going to mention that we've spent roughly $59,000 on PPE and disinfectants and masks and gloves and all the different protections that we need. So we've been able to kind of maneuver around and make that work within our existing equipment budget and our existing supply budget and all. We're trying our best to kind of fold it into our existing structure as we can. We're also having talks with the city and the parish about the possibility of engaging the CARES Act. So we would like to get some money back for this, 60,000 plus. It's been a scramble to find the masks and the gloves and all that since the middle of March, because all of our normal suppliers are unable to provide that. And we've added so many vendors, I've lost count, but then we have to vet all the products that they're supplying and make sure they're all safe and sound and not, substandard or something. So we spend a great deal of time on pandemic activities, actually. Any questions? Brittany? What?
I'm just going to stay off mute. I had a question. I know that there was the bat situation at Moortown, which has since been resolved, and now there is a bird situation. And I just wanted to make sure that the birds are not posing any health or structural problems, and y'all have taken care of all that, as I'm sure you have.
What specific bird situation are you referring to?
That the bats are gone, but that there's birds nesting in.
Oh, no, there's no birds nesting.
They're just birds. We on occasion have, we run the video. That was one of the ways we were observing whether or not on the outdoor video. And the only thing I think Susan was commenting about is because the birds were attacking our cameras at one time. Other than that, I don't think we have a bird problem, but we're more than happy to send Wayne out there to double check. But yes, our bats were driving us crazy for a little while, but they are a protected species, so we couldn't use Mr. Lupo's favorite way of eliminating them, so we had to actually put up some netting, and we finally managed to get them out of the building. And you'd be amazed at how small a space they need to get into the building. It doesn't take much, but we have sealed what we found, and we hope that they stay away. But if they come back, we'll continue to address it.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you very much. The last item is miscellaneous, and I believe Kathy had some words of wisdom or something.
Okay, I just want to remind those board members who have not completed certain trainings this year to do so. Several of you have already sent me your certificates for all of the training, so just disregard this, y'all. The Tier 2.1 financial disclosure statement, I do hope that everyone filed that. to the state, because you will be fined heavily if you did not. If you did not, go ahead and just contact them or whatever and file it late. Better than not. Secondly, there's the ethics training that we have to do every year. Once it's done, I will need your certificate. Also, the harassment or discrimination, I forgot the name of it, training, there's a part 1 and a part 2, and you need to do both. Part 1 is for everybody, including staff. The part 2 is for supervisors. You all are supervisors of the director, so therefore you have to do that one as well. I believe that's all, but I'm just waiting on the rest of your certificates. Please don't wait till the very last minute. Just get it done.
No. Anything else? Comments? Okay, our next meeting is scheduled for September the 28th, 2 p.m. I guess we'll just decide closer to that date how we're going to do it. Hopefully we'll be able to do it in person, but if not, this has been fun.
I move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. You want? Motion to adjourn?
I think we got a second from Julia too.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Anybody opposed? Meeting
Oh,
adjourned.
okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, this is Dolores. I just wanted to, not opposing, I had unmuted myself, but I just wanted to say, I owe some of you some phone calls and text messages. Thank you for checking on me while I was in the hospital. Love and appreciate you.
Stay healthy.
We're glad you're back. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it from me.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.